Were you using Linux before Ubuntu made it popular? Did you install Mandrake Linux from a stack of CDs, fight with dial-up modems, and celebrate when your sound card finally worked? Then congratulations, you might be a Mandrake or Mandriva Linux survivor. What does the title actually mean, and why do veteran Linux users wear it like a badge of honor? Mandrake Linux appeared in 1998, created by Gail Duval. It was originally based on Red Hat Linux, but it had a different mission: make Linux easier for regular desktop users. At a time when installing Linux could feel like rebuilding an engine, Mandrake offered a graphical installer, KDE as a primary desktop, and configuration tools that were far familiar than many competing distributions. Mandrake showed that Linux did not have to remain an operating system reserved for server admins and command line experts. For many people, Mandrake was their first successful Linux installation. It detected more hardware, simplified system administration, and made the Linux desktop feel possible to just an everyday user. Mandrake eventually ran into a trademark dispute involving Mandrake the Magician. The distribution briefly became Mandrake Linux. Then, after Mandrake Soft acquired the Brazilian Linux company Conectiva in 2005, the company and distribution were renamed Mandriva, a combination of Mandrake and Conectiva. Mandrake continued developing desktop Linux and built a loyal international community. But behind the scenes, the company struggled with financial problems, restructuring, layoffs, and changes in its direction. The final Mandrake Linux release arrived in 2011. The company continued for several more years, but the original distribution and community had already begun breaking apart. So what makes someone a survivor of Mandriva? Calling yourself Mandrake or Mandriva survivor does not mean you survive the operating system itself. By means, no, it doesn't. It means you live through the entire era of Linux. You remember downloading ISO files over painfully slow connections. You remember burning installation CDs and discovering that disk number 3 was corrupt halfway through the installation. You remember configuring graphical drivers, sound drivers, printers, Wi-Fi adapters, and modems that Linux barely recognized. As you probably remember using tools such as the Mandrake Control Center and URPMI, Mandrake users survived broken updates, dependency problems, hardware incapabilities, corporate uncertainty, multiple name changes, and eventually the disappearance of the distribution they had trusted. But many of them did not leave Linux. They simply moved somewhere else to some other distro that was still alive. One major destination for that group of Linux users was Mageia. Mageia was announced in September 2010 by former Mandriva employees and community contributors. It became a nonprofit, community-governed fork that continued many of Mandriva's technologies and desktop-friendly ideas. Another successor was OpenMandriva. When Mandriva stopped directly developing its consumer Linux distribution, the community continued the project through OpenMandriva Association. OpenMandriva remains an independent Linux distribution that carries Mandriva's technical heritage forward. Then there is PCLinuxOS. PCLinuxOS became an earlier as a Mandriva-like project created by Bill Reynolds, better known as Techstar. It eventually became an independent rolling release distribution while preserving some of the approachable desktop experience Mandrake users appreciated. The original company may have disappeared, but DNA survived with a few different versions of Linux. Mandrake helped establish an idea that seems obvious today. Desktop Linux should be easy to install, visually appealing, and usable by people who are not system administrators. Modern distributions such as Ubuntu, Linux, Mint, Fedora, OpenSUSE, Mageia, and OpenMandriva operate in a world that Mandrake helped create. It was really a founding father of the accessible Linux OS. It was not perfect. Its story did not have a clean ending, but for thousands of Linux users, Mandrake was the distribution that proved they could leave Windows behind. That is why Mandrake Survivor is more than nostalgia. It represents a generation of users who stayed with Linux when installation required patience, hardware support was unpredictable, and every successful desktop felt like a personal victory. Were you a Mandrake or a Mandriva user? Tell me which version you started with, what hardware you gave you the most trouble, and where you moved after Mandriva disappeared. Subscribe to Gumshoe Tech for more Linux history, OpenSUSE coverage, KDE Plasma, Podman, or Home Lab content. And remember, Linux distributions may disappear, but their communities and their ideas often survive.